Hello. I invite you to make a short journey into anatomy of the eye and also to imagine the process of vision. Eyelids, the outer structures that protect the eyeball and lubricate the ocular surface. Within each lid is a tarsal plate containing meibomian glands, tears, a three-layered structure. Meibomian glands produce the oil layer that prevents the second, water layer excreted from the lacrimal gland from evaporating. The undersurface of the lids have mucus-secreting glands that produce a sticky substance that allows this three-layered tear to adhere to the corneal surface. The lids join at the medial and lateral canthi. At the medial canthus, there are punctal openings to the tear drainage system that leads to the nasal passages. The space between the two open lids is called the palpebral fissure. Cornea, the transparent front window of the eye that serves as the major refractive surface. If the curved surface is greater in one direction than another, the eye is said to have astigmatism. Sclera, the thick, fibrous outer coat of the eye, normally white and opaque. Limbus, the junction between the cornea and sclera. Conjunctiva, the thin vascular mucous membrane covering the inner aspect of the eyelids. Palpebral conjunctiva and sclera, bulbar conjunctiva. Anterior chamber, the space that lies between the cornea anteriorly and the iris posteriorly. The chamber contains a watery fluid called aqueous humor that is produced by the ciliary body and exits through the trabecular meshwork to pass through the heart and lungs and return nourished and oxygenated. Iris, the colored part of the eye that screens out light, primarily via the pigment epithelium, which lines its posterior surface. At its most peripheral surface lies the trabecular meshwork, which is the drainage apparatus for the aqueous humor. Pupil, the circular opening in the center of the iris that adjusts the amount of light entering the eye. Its size is determined by the parasympathetic constriction and the sympathetic dilation inversion of the iris. Ciliary body, the structure that produces aqueous humor. Contraction of the ciliary muscle changes tension on the zonular fibers that suspend the lens and allows the eye to focus from distant to near objects. Accommodation. Lens, the transparent biconvex body suspended by the zonules behind the pupil and iris, part of the refracting mechanism of the eye. With age, the lens stiffens and near vision becomes reduced, requiring reading glasses in the majority of persons. Posterior chamber, the small space filled with aqueous humor behind the iris and in front of the anterior lens capsule. Vitreous cavity, the relatively large space, 4.5 cc, behind the lens that extends to the retina. The cavity is filled with a transparent albumin, jelly-like material called vitreous humor. The vitreous liquefies in midlife, causing protein concentrations or floaters, and may be responsible for retinal traction, causing light flashes or tears, which can lead to retinal detachments. Retina, the neural tissue lining the vitreous cavity posteriorly. Essentially transparent except for the blood vessels on its inner surface. The retina sends the initial vision signals to the brain via the optic nerve. The retina, macula choroid, and optic disc are sometimes referred to as the retinal fundus or simply fundus. Optic disc, the portion of the optic nerve visible within the eye. It is composed of axons whose cell bodies are located in the ganglion cell level of the retina. These axons are most susceptible to changes of ocular pressure and may be damaged if higher tensions exist for any length of time. Macula, the area of the retina at the posterior pole of the eye responsible for fine central vision. The oval depression on the center of the macula is called the fovea. Choroid, the vascular pigmented tissue layer between the sclera and the retina. The choroid provides the blood supply for the outer retinal layers. Extraocular muscles, the 6 muscles that move the globe medially, medial rectus. Laterally, lateral rectus; upward, superior rectus and inferior oblique; downward, inferior rectus and superior oblique; and torsionally, superior and inferior obliques. These muscles are supplied by 3 cranial nerves: cranial nerve 4, which innervates the superior oblique; cranial nerve, which innervates the lateral rectus; and cranial nerve 3, which controls the remainder of the extraocular muscles. When a person looks at an object, light rays are reflected from that object to the eye. As the rays pass through the optical system of the globe, or eyeball, they are bent to produce an upside-down image of the object at the back of the inner eyeball. In the retina, the image is converted to electric impulses that are carried to the brain, where the image is translated so that the object is perceived in its upright position. The light-sensitive cells of the retina convert the image to electric impulses that are carried to the brain by the optic nerve. The electric impulses are integrated in the brain's visual cortex to produce the sensation of light. There are several types of refraction. In emmetropia, the light rays focus on the retina. In myopia, nearsightedness, the light rays focus in front of the retina. In hypermetropia, farsightedness, the light rays focus behind the retina. Because of dissimilar curvatures of the cornea, in astigmatism, the light rays may focus in front of and behind the retina, causing a blurred image.